Hey everybody, welcome to a Friday live stream. This is going to be a discussion. Just want to share some stories with you that I hopefully think will be helpful for you. But let me get into the normal spiel. Welcome to Break the Cycle with DSD. I am your host, Duane. I am not a therapist, nor am I an attorney. I am an individual much like you that's gone through a tough experience and developed some tips and techniques that I share with you to help you get your life back. Break the cycles of emotional abuse, strengthen relationship with your kids, and try to just mitigate the damage that you're probably going through. Remember, only a licensed professional can diagnose a person with a personality disorder, so be incredibly careful when you start throwing around terms, because when you do, you start to jeopardize your credibility, and that is our biggest asset when we are attempting to traverse these experiences. If you like what's going on here and you want to help support the channel, please consider becoming a channel member. You can do that by scrolling down and hitting the join button, and when you do, you get special badges, access to custom emojis, your name listed in the credits, access to member-only events, and a special member-only DSD Discord. If you want to get notified via SMS text whenever a show goes live, you can text DSDLIVE, all one word, to 844-598-0012. That's DSDLIVE to 844-598-0012. And that will add you on to the super cool SMS text notification system so that you get notified whenever I do one of these things. And I am going to have, and the phone lines are on tonight, so if you want to call and share your experience, ask some questions, interact with myself and with the community, you can do that by dialing 1-424-373-5483, 1-424-DSD-LIVE, or if you're outside of the United States or Canada, or if you just want to use the web interface, scroll down on the video description. If you're watching this live, click the link, and you'll be able to utilize your computer or mobile device to connect into the show. On that, I hope you guys are doing outstanding today. This has been one hell of a week. Came back, went back to work, started, doing getting back in the groove. But I tell you guys, I am so glad that this week is over. This has been an interesting week, a lot of weird stuff going on in the world today, and I wanted to talk about some positive stuff for a change instead of instead of the hard topics. But again, we can talk whatever you guys want to talk about. But before I do that, what I do want to do is I want to do a couple of housekeeping things. I'm just going to start this soon right off. So for the people watching the replays, you may not know this. You may not have heard. You may not even care. I don't know. But if you happen to, I have a camping channel called Duane Robert that has nothing to do with these topics, with the normal topics of the DSD show. It's about exploring and adventuring and going out and seeing nature when it's not on fire. And I would really appreciate if you would check that channel out and subscribe and watch those videos and comment. Help me build that channel. I think sometimes, and I'll get into this as we progress on with this conversation today, but as people heal from this, the need for narcissistic abuse, high conflict channels isn't really needed anymore. You move past it, and this is a way that you can stay connected, and we can stay connected. And this is also one of the ways that I'm able to share some of the stories that I'm going to discuss tonight. So you can find that just by scrolling over to Duane Robert on YouTube, or you can even look in the video description of this video or the show notes if you're looking at it on the podcast, and find that and give me a subscribe. I appreciate it. I would appreciate the support. So here's the thing. Here is one of the things that I wanted to discuss today. And this has happened. It's in the last couple of days. I've had a couple of conversations with people who are old-time but old-time subscribers of the channel. Don't really watch much anymore just because they don't need it. Some of them still stay subscribed just because they're great. They're great people like that. But But what I wanted to share with you is, especially if you are new at this, if this is something, if you're at the beginning stages of this and you're feeling like your life is completely out of control and you're thinking that, there's no way to the other side of this. And I used to feel that way. I so used to think that there is no way that there's going to be any recovery from this. This is going to be like, having a mortal wound that you can never heal from, and you're always going to have that chronic pain, and there's, it's going to linger with you forever. I can tell you from my personal experience, that has not been the case. Life has gotten better. Things have changed. Things have improved. My perspective has changed. Doesn't mean that your ex is going to be held accountable, that everything is going to go your way, that they're going to be exposed or anything like that. It just means that there's a pathway through this that gives you the life that you never really expected. Now, when I started my experience 9 some odd years ago, 10 years ago, didn't think, I just figured it was like, okay, maybe I'll get used to the chronic pain and it won't be so bad. It'll be okay. It'll just be painful all the time, but I'll just learn to deal with it. But after a few years and really working on myself and healing some of those childhood wounds, healing my own boundary issues, confronting the issues that brought me to where I am or brought me to this situation, transformed my life. I was chatting with someone earlier today who also has a camping channel. I won't share it because I don't want to throw him under the bus like that. But, a few years ago when they found my channel, things were out of control. X was driving everything crazy. Parental alienation was through the roof. Their child was out of control, and they were losing hope. And everything they tried wasn't working. And we had a lot of one-off conversations, some in the comments, some in email. And I was able to share some different advice and offer some perspective. And it's amazing how this stuff really does work. Chatting with the guy today, his child is now an adult on their own. Well, not technically on their own, still living with the other parent, but doing really well, graduated school, has a job, is working towards their future. And the person's life is they're having fun and doing things and living a life and looking at things towards the future, looking for, the next adventure. Another person I was chatting with the other day who, about a year ago found the channel, just completely freaked out, trying to figure out what to do. And now they got everything under control. Yeah, they still have a toxic ex. Yeah, there's still games going on, but they've taken their life back. They've grabbed hold of the reins of their life, and they're making steps to just transform their life. We were chatting about setting up a podcast. They wanted to do an inspirational type podcast, not on this topic, but just something else. And we got to talk shop about techniques on how to set up equipment and what to use and what not to use and different techniques and stuff. And I'll tell you, one of the coolest things for me about this channel, helping people is outstanding, right? When someone's going through the midst of this and they're in the dark place and I'm trying to shine a light for them to help them see the way, that's great. But the really awesome parts are when I hear from you guys and I hear that you've crossed the other side, you've made it through the abyss, and your life is turned around, and you want to talk about starting a podcast. You want to talk about, hey, what camera do you use to film your stuff? You want to talk about anything else other than how do I get through the day? How do I just muscle through and just crawl through one more day. It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing when you think about that. So we can talk a little bit more about that as we progress on. There's a couple of callers in the queue, which I'll go to in a minute. But before I do that, I just want to look and recognize some of the people who are hanging out on the stream right now. We got Tim and John and T Solo and Mike and Camilla and HC9 and Late Update and Makona. God, I butchered your name. I thought I was going to be able to get that this time. Roy's in the house. Borna is on. I love your name, man. That's awesome. Oh, more mom. Man, I can barely say that. It says my wife failed to refinance the house as required by the divorce decree today. Or today was the due date. She said it won't be done until December. Go on to say, it's hard to take charge of my life when I can't rent a place because I have management on my credit report. Oh, man, I hear you on that one. Hey, if she's actually going to do it, that's better than mine. Mine was supposed to do that, and they never did it. Walked away from the house, stopped paying, destroyed my credit. Said, if you have a problem with it, you can just pay. It's not a big deal. If you're really worried about the foreclosure, just pay the house payment. You could do that. Why can't you do that? I'm laughing now. It wasn't a laughing matter at the time. Anyways, well, hang in there, Morm, because it just takes it takes time on this. But I tell you what, I think I am going to go to caller number 1, and let me go ahead and set that up. Hello and welcome to the show. Are you there?
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So what's going on?
Good. Yeah, so you already touched on, and many other people have already touched on what I wanted to talk about. I've been checking out your other channel here lately with camping, and it's really nice. I mean, things are a lot better for me than they used to be, as you already know. It's been years now. However, with camping and just being around nature, it seems so therapeutic to my soul. And so just watching you go camping, and it's just really nice to see.
Thanks.
It's kind of like I'm there.
Well, thanks so much for it. I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate it. And
it's so wholesome. And my son and I, we really love watching it, and we're really get into it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
thank you so much. Are you getting a chance to actually go out and explore nature yourself?
Yes, yeah. Yep.
That is awesome. I am so glad to hear that.
Yep. We moved within the past year, and so we got out and we met some new people, good community, and then we're probably going to go out at some point this weekend and go and do some nature trails and stuff. So we're really excited about that. But obviously, as you touched on earlier too, it wasn't always like this. I mean, at one point when I was going through the divorce process, I just remember literally not even taking it hour by hour. It was literally second by second, minute by minute, and just really being so dissociated with, wow, this is my reality right now. And thinking to myself, like, how did I get myself in this mess? How did I get so wrapped up with somebody who is so toxic and so horrible, and then also have a child with them, and thinking, how can I make my life better? Because I feel like I'm drowning right now. And just like this vision of like what I thought a not sucky life would be, it seems so far away. And it sounds like okay, yeah, that sounds nice, but it actually came true. And it wasn't just, oh, I thought it and it happened. It took a lot of work and a struggle and pain and sacrifice and a lot of tenacity. But I just remember one day, within the early time, your video, I just remember it was at the end of the day, and I put my son down to sleep, and I was just so exhausted going through everything with court and finally being able to get to somewhere safe, and just I was just so drained emotionally. I was like, I just don't even know. But you came up on like on the recommended video or whatnot, and I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but let me check him out. So I clicked on your video, and you were sitting on the couch and just chatting away. I don't even remember the first video I seen, but first thing I was like, I just felt for like a while there, I just felt calm. I just felt like, you know what, I'm not alone. And I'm not just saying that, like, it really helped ground me in that moment. So I truly, truly do appreciate that. And like I said, you know, it was really hard because I got really sick, probably from all the stress, and going through the divorce. I got flu, and then I got pneumonia at the same time. I was in the hospital for 10 days straight. It was like right before my son's birthday, going through just a whole lot of stuff, finding out that he's, there was a lot of bad things going on.
Yeah.
With my ex-husband and stuff, and just thinking like, what else could go wrong at this point? But, it eventually just worked out. Just take it micro step at a time and just focus and take care of yourself in tiny little bits. You might not be able to, take a full on, like spa day, but you might be able to drink an extra cup of water or just take a nice deep breath. Like any little thing helps. And just when you feel like you want to sleep and isolate, just being part of even an online community like this has helped me out so much. So like I said, I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. You're making my cheeks hurt with just hearing how things have turned around. I mean, that's exactly what I wanted to kind of hit today. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm glad to hear you guys are getting out. So thanks for calling.
Yeah, of course. Just have a good night.
You too. Guys, that's what I'm talking about. That right there. And I mean, I'm not going to say who she is because I recognize her name, and she's been part of the part of the community for a long time. But that's it, right? Things seem so dark when she was talking about at the beginning, where you go on by moment, by second, and I have videos about that at the beginning, and it feels so dire. Stick with it. Don't accept, defeat out of the hands of victory, because there is life past this. It's not easy. I'm not going to lie to you. And I think she was very honest in what she was saying, but there is a pathway through this. I just want to hit this. Tim said, love the camping channel. I recently got a North Face Wana tent. Great fun for the Boy Scouts. Outstanding. Let's see. What else we got in here? See if I missed any other comments. There's another phone caller. I'll do that. Actually, while I am, let me do this. Nope, not there. I'll go like here. While I'm searching around on things, if you want to dial into the show, you can do that at 1-424-373-5483, 1-424 DSD Live. I see Coach Williams Joseph is in the house. Glad to see you, man. I need to hook back up with you so we can figure out a collaboration. Let's see here. I'm checking the comments. All right, so I'm going to go to the next caller. Stand by one. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hi, Duane. This is Mike. How are you?
Mike, how you doing? I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, can't complain. Yeah, you're a saint for spending your time to do this. I just want to say that first off, because I think you've helped a lot of people, especially
Thanks.
me and others I see on your show. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. I just want to comment, my divorce was finally final a week and a half ago. So after 2.5 years of, the nightmare, it's finally over. But what I'm finding now is that, I always go to the source, with my son. I have a son that's 12, and but mom continues to, it create more drama oh, he's got this or that, and violating the order.
Oh, of course.
And, it's going on right now. And, I'll see him tomorrow. It was supposed to be tonight, whatever. But I didn't get really an opportunity to talk to him about that because he doesn't feel he's able to, because she's always like right there, looking over his shoulder. Oh, did you get a text message? Who is it from? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah, that's normal.
And I don't want to put him in the middle. That's the thing that he's 12. Right. I don't want to put him in the middle, and he wants to be with me, but he feels, he can't say no to mom because there's, hell to pay. And,
oh, yeah.
I tell him that I always want him to be with me, of course. And I don't play the games, I shouldn't have to qualify this, right?
Right.
I don't play so I don't do that. So with that said, I want to make his life as easy as possible, but, I let him know that, hey, look, I understand what he's going through. And unfortunately in Illinois, I have to wait till he's 14 until he has an opportunity to, speak his voice.
Right.
But unfortunately, I just, I guess I just want that. Am I doing the right thing by, kind of just letting things happen and let him know, well, I wish it was different. And, let him be a kid too. If he wants to go to a birthday party, whatever, that's cool. But,
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. So let me try to give you some insight on that. And this is, and I'll try to do it quick. What I would say is first thing first, if there's something that your son wants to do, don't look at it as how it benefits the ex. And I used to fall into this trap too, right? And it's really annoying because they make your life a living hell. She's made your life a living hell to get to this point. I know how you're feeling. You finally get to the point, your divorce is final, you signed it, you're like, oh, thank God, finally this stupidness is going to stop. And then you quickly realize, oh crap, it's not. Okay, so that's the reality, and that's a bitter pill to swallow. But here's the thing. If your son has something he wants to do that he really wants to do, right? It's like, hey, Dad, I got, Billy's having a birthday party, and I really want to go, so can I go ahead and stay with Mom, go to Billy's thing, and then I'll see you tomorrow? The answer is yes, right? I mean, because it's not being done to screw with. I mean, it kind of is. Obviously your ex relishes in it, but you got to kind of minimize how you're looking at how it helps her or gives her a victory, and really just focus on your kid. The only caveat I would say with this is if your son says, hey, Mommy really wants me to go to Billy's birthday party. Dad, I really don't want to go, but I feel guilty. Then you're kind of in a position to where you can say, hey, buddy, you know what? If you don't really want to go, we just need to follow the court order. You're supposed to be with me and do that. But it's kind of like that's the way you would gauge it. And I think if you do that, it'll help you have some clarity about what you're doing and also feel like it's more empowering you instead. Because what the problem is right now, I'm hearing, is that you just feel like you're just getting sucker punched over and over and over again, and no one's giving you a break. And even your 12-year-old isn't, throwing Dad a bone, right? Yeah. So,
I mean, we have a good relationship in that. And then we talk about a myriad of different things, but I think he's afraid to tell me what he wants to do. And I was, in a text message, for example, I said, well, hey, Zach, if you want to go, go ahead, and it's okay. I'm not going to be upset, but, unfortunately it bleeds off. If he tells Mom, well, I don't want to go, then there's hell to pay. And, I'm just trying to create a safe space for him.
Again,
also, I want as much time with him as I can.
Yeah, and the problem is, I mean, depending on how your kids are, right? Mine, for whatever reason, really didn't do this type of stuff. Meaning that, they didn't have a lot of, hey, I have this party I want to go to. I mean, a little bit. My middle daughter did have some trips and stuff like that, but for the most part, it didn't happen. But typically that's what's going to happen, right? I mean, there's going to be, hey, there's a camping trip or something with my buddy. I want to go with his family or whatever. And the key, like I was mentioned before, the key is to look at it, almost kind of looking at it like your ex is out of the picture and as if they didn't exist and if you were making that decision. And most of the time, if that was the case, the decision would be, of course you could go. Now the difference is you'd be like, yeah, I'll drop you off. I'll pick you up. And it's just the annoying part of it. Well, there's a lot of annoying parts, but it's not like your ex is trying to communicate with you. It's not like there's negotiations or anything like that. It's like this unilateral crap, and you feel like you're constantly getting the raw end of the deal. But you got to be careful looking at that, because it'll just it starts this cascading feedback loop of chaos that just really starts to screw with your mind. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
it does, and last thing else.
Mm-hmm. The only other thing I would say, just for anyone listening, there is a little bit of a delay. So oftentimes this will happen where we're talking over each other. It's a technology issue. It's not a personality issue. So go ahead. What were you going to say?
Just that, clearly, given her, attitudes about things, she's in the driver's seat. I mean, sure, I can go and call the police and, have my court order in hand and do those things. But that's not really that's the only means that I have to try to enforce the order of visitation that I have. And to me, that's kind of weak. Really. Well,
and you got to pick your battles.
She's going to win again. So.
Well, and that's the thing, man. See, because here's the problem. There's like a cat for the type of stuff you're talking about. Letter of the law, it's a violation of the court order. You'll lose it because because it doesn't. It's in the nuances. Now, if she's, making it to where you're never seeing your son and, he's lashing out, that's a different story. The other thing I would throw out there that you have to be a little careful, especially at this age, because kids at this age typically get really manipulated and messed around with. Just be firm if he starts saying, well, you know what, mommy says I can live with me or whatever. Just say, look, if there's a change in custody, it's going to be World War III. And that's kind of what I had to do with my kids. And I didn't necessarily like it. But I had to have a boundary there so that they knew that there was a line that they couldn't cross. So, I mean, there's a few different ways you can try to do that. But that's the only other little thing I would tell you or recommend to you, that if by chance, if your son starts getting manipulated, feeling like, well, I got to protect mommy, I'm the man of the house now, daddy, you're okay, mommy's not, and it starts getting to this, this like, hey, I should just stay and protect mommy. That's where you need to say, that ain't happening, buddy. There is if you have 50-50 or whatever it is, I don't remember if you said it in the beginning, but whatever that timeshare is, that's the share, that's the time I get, and that's not negotiable. Yes, one-off little things when you have special things that you need to do, absolutely, I'll work with you. Now, you and I both know what should happen is you should be able to swap the time, but you and I also both know that there's no way in hell your ex is ever going to allow you to exercise that. So it's just you might want to bring it up a couple of times just to document that they won't do it, but don't don't put yourself in a situation to beat your head against the wall either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it's just whatever. I'm the more effective parent. I think I give him. I know I do much better. Outlook on life and how people should be. It should be chaotic. It should be very.
Man, Mike, I know what you're saying, man. It's really, I know I can hear it in your voice. I know what you're saying. You're saying, here I am doing everything to try to help my kid. I got this person who's actively trying to fight to hurt our child, their child too. And there's nothing, and you feel like you're powerless to stop them. And in a lot of ways we are, but what you just said is really the key. You are going to be the rock for your child. And the better or the better you make your decisions now will reinforce that. Doesn't mean that he's going to be, that he's not going to your son's not going to poke you in the eye from time to time, and you guys aren't going to have your clashes, but you are in a perfect position to build that relationship so damn strong that, he's always going to love his mom and he's always going to want to protect her and he's always going to have a little special place in his heart. But you're going to be the one who's going to be able to help him really see the world and prime him so that he doesn't repeat these mistakes. It breaks the damn cycle of emotional abuse and not repeat this going forward. You're his lifeline.
Yeah, that's the thing. I really want to break the cycle with him. I mean, I went through this, I don't want that for him, of course. And it's not a competition. I don't want to, have him live with me and poke her in the eye. It's not about that. It's about him being in the safest place possible. And I would never, ever, speak, poorly about her. I answer his questions, age appropriate, of course. I don't. It's not my mission to, get him to not be
No, man. I think what you're doing, I mean, I know it hurts, but you're on. You trust your gut. You're on the right path. You're doing good.
All right. Thank you, Duane.
All right. Hang in there, man. So let me hit this button. I just want to say, hold on. I gotta get better at my buttons. The thing is, it's so hard with our kids in this situation where that caller was at, and I can absolutely relate because I remember being there. And you're watching what's going on, and you want to stop it, and you want the kids to understand, and you want just everything to open up and reality to be accepted. And it's so tough. But what I will tell you, this is, I'm starting to see with my older kids, my 22-year-old and my 20-year-old, some tremendous growth. I was a little worried about my middle daughter. Had a conversation with her the other day, helped her through some stuff. And it's like, I actually said to her, I said, you know what, honey, it looks like, things are really starting to click. You're kind of like trying to get away from chaos. You're being a lot more mature the way you're dealing with people and you're dealing with problems. And it's, so you guys, you are making more of an impact than you really know. And I know sometimes it's hard to trust that. I know whenever you're sitting there and you're second guessing yourself and you're seeing what's going on and you see the cone of chaos and you're like, oh my God. The key things to remember, and Debbie and I talked about this the other day when we did our collaboration. Kids, when they go through this, end up becoming emotionally delayed. So when you have an 18-year-old, they're not really acting 18, so it takes them a little bit longer. So give yourself some time to still be there for them and help them through that. And like I was just saying, you know what? I mean, when I started on this stream tonight or this podcast, I've seen a lot of examples of what I'm just talking about where people have been able to do this and then they're seeing those successes later. And even John Steinbeck from Brainwashing Children and I are trying to coordinate a show on Monday, hopefully Monday. And he's had some tremendous success with that too. So keep your eye open for that. So if you want to dial into the show, you can do that by dialing 1-424-373-5483, 1-424 DSD-LIVE. I am going to go to line 3 now, if I can hit all my buttons correctly. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hey, Duane.
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Wonderful to hear from you.
Well, thanks for calling in. What's going on?
Watching your show for quite a while.
Well, hopefully it's been helpful for you.
It's been very helpful.
Outstanding.
Just sitting here by myself on a Friday night. My daughter doesn't get to spend time with her grandparents unless she's with me, because her mother doesn't allow her to stay with them. And I let her stay on my night so she can spend time with her grandparents.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cause that's what I was going to say. I mean, when she's with you, when your daughter's with you, you can, unless there's something in the court order that says not, you can do whatever. Are you talking about the grandparents that are your parents or the grandparents that are your ex's parents?
Yes. Yes. My parents are friends with my ex-wife, unfortunately. And it's been a very difficult complex to deal with that.
Yeah, that's rough.
But she doesn't let my daughter stay over with them on her weekends. So when my daughter comes here, she asked for Friday nights to be her Gigi night. And I'm more than happy. That's what my daughter wants.
Yeah.
Whatever she needs.
Man.
And it's difficult to break that complex down.
Well, what do you mean?
Because my ex-wife is, like my ex-wife will bring her son from another marriage around to reel my parents in.
Oh, of course.
Because my parents claim that he's their grandkid, even though we were only together for 18 months. So it's a interesting thing to deal with.
Yeah.
But I still talk with everyone. Still trying to be nice. I picked my daughter up today from school at the bus, and her mom was there and wouldn't even speak while I was in their presence.
Well,
and now my daughter's at her Gigi.
I was going to say, you got to remember that, you know, people who fall into these patterns of behavior, right? We'll just assume that she's highly toxic and narcissistic. They live in this chaos. They love manipulation and control. And everything you're talking about is standard tactics. And it's crazy making to drive you nuts. What was that?
I'm her fourth ex-husband, and she's my age, which is around 37.
Ooh, ouch.
And she hasn't worked a day since January 2018, and can make about 30 grand a year more than I do if she's working. But she knows the court system where I live, so if she's making zero, she gets the most of everything.
Yeah. I know, man. It's a bitter pill. I mean, I hear what you're saying.
It's a bitter pill.
Yeah.
Listening to your show and listening to how you speak about relationships with their children has helped me quite a bit. I mean, last night when my daughter was here, before I put her to bed, she asked if she could just stay here. She's only 6. She's like, I want to be around you all the time. That's
awesome. I mean, it's heartbreaking too, but that's good. That means you're doing good, man. You know?
And all I told her was, Mommy loves you too, and Mommy needs her time with you as well. And honestly, I learned most of that from listening to what you went through.
Yeah. No, you're doing it right. You know, I mean, and I mean, I understand what you're going through. I mean, I'm sure you're looking at it going, holy crap, I should have saw the warning signs, and, you know, hindsight's great, but I mean, this is your situation. You're making the most of it. I mean, the number one indicator, the number one factor on all of this, at the end of the day, it's not your ex, it's not your parents, it's not, you know, the ex-step kids or anything like that. It's the relationship that you have with your daughter. And it sounds like you have a strong, solid relationship. And if you're able to pull that off at 6 and keep that going, then it makes it to where there's almost nothing that your ex is going to be able to do to destroy it unless you start making mistakes. I mean, I know with you looking at it at 6 years old, you're going, oh my God, I've got 12 years at the least of this. And it seems daunting, but I'll tell you, with what it sounds like, where you're at right now, you to me, I could be wrong, but it sounds like you have everything geared up that in a couple of years, you'll have things going, I mean, pretty stable. It doesn't mean that your ex isn't going to stop screwing with your daughter and there won't be other games, but, you know, things get better.
I don't play games. She has stickies on her wall about her mom. Like, I don't worry about any of that.
Awesome. Great, man.
That's not what I'm doing. I learned that from watching you. Like, I've been watching you since 2018, man.
Wow, that's a
while.
Helped a lot. Well, thanks. Anything else you want to hit before you go?
And not at all. Just thanks for talking, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for calling. Appreciate it. You know, it's tough, right? I mean, I hear the pain in his voice from it, and I tell you guys, especially whenever you're looking at when it's like early-ish into it, you know, you got a young kid and you're going, oh my God, there's all this time. Having your family team with the devils almost is really tough. I mean, anybody who's been watching me for a while knows that after I started trying to put boundaries down with my own mom, her solution was to make friends with my ex and use that. So I finally severed all ties. Ultimately, that's probably one of the better things I ever did. But it's tough, right? I mean, you have all your support groups in question and everything. But again, I just want to roll back to what I was mentioning. The answers on this, the real success indicator, the guideline, if you want to call it that, is how is your relationship with your child, especially when it's just you one-on-one. And if it's strong, then you are winning. And take solace in that. So, all right, I want to hit this real quick. Konya did a super chat. If I can figure out how to make it come up, it says, "Hang in there." Splitting by Billy Eddy, 2021 book, Audible. Actually, I used to have an affiliate program with Audible where you could actually get that for free. Except I don't remember what the link is, so I can't share that. But I haven't ever read Bill's book. I'd like to get him on sometime. I don't know if he would ever come on my show, but I think his Biff technique, I think Bill Eddy has that as well, is very similar to my hybrid no contact. So, anyways, let me see what else is going on in the comments. So I think I missed a couple of things. The phone, let me do this again. Phone lines are open. If you want to call into the show, you can do that by dialing 1-424-373-5483, 1-424-DSD-LIVE, or scroll down and hit the web interface, bypass the phone lines altogether, and just use your computer and or your mobile device to call in and share your story in the show. Let's see while I'm looking around. Let's see. All right. So, on that, other thing I just want to mention is if you want to get my attention in the chat, just do @DSD and it will highlight it or put questions so that I know, because I know some of you guys, there's always a conversations going on in the chat amongst yourselves. So if you want to get my attention, make sure you just tag me because it makes it a lot easier. Or you can always do a super chat because that obviously that highlights it and makes it all bright. Actually, I can show you that real quick. Let me just give you an example of what that is if I can do this over here. See, it highlights it like it did with what Maconia did and makes it real easy for me to see, which is super awesome. All right, let's see. Have another caller in. I'll wait for the screening to finish and then I'll grab that. All right. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to set it up, get all my stuff set back up. And I'll go to line number 4. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hi, Duane.
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, I've been listening. I'm good. So I've been listening to your show for, I think, last 3 years. Yeah, so, same story like everybody, right? Missed all the red flags and, in a process of divorce, just got played in. Actually, I have 2 kids. One is 8 and one is 5. So 8-year-old is special needs, and we were looking at some schools actually where we moved in, and ex agreed to move him, and I made all the plans to move my son, transfer my job and everything, right? So just one day before the move, he said, "Oh, I changed my mind." So I'm a bit of a pickle, actually. Talked to my lawyer, and my lawyer actually started shouting at me, and said, you should have made an agreement first. Actually, you should have modified the agreement, before you said yes. Haven't you learned your lesson? So I just want to say to all the listeners, right, of the show, right. Just don't trust them, talk to your lawyer if you're planning any moves with the kids, make sure the agreement is there, right? Otherwise, you'll be in a tough spot like I am. My job is already transferred. I can't say I may have to go to another city, leave the kids behind for some time.
Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope, is there any way for you to undo that, or is it pretty much a done deal? You're going to have to move?
Yeah, I am going to try because I'm in Canada, so I'm moving to the Phoenix area. So it's not even city, right? It's a country. So yeah, I may have to undo or maybe go there for some time and come back, search another job, right? So.
Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that. But I mean, that's good. I mean, I hate that you're going through this, but thanks for sharing that, because this is the type of stuff that people need to understand. And I'll talk a little bit more about it whenever we get off the line. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, just that, they don't give any indications actually. She's selling all the house stuff, like,
Yeah.
searching the job in that city, right? No indication for 4 months. Just like, one day before, right? I said, okay, no, give me the kid's passport to stamp the visa. And she said, oh, I'm not going. They're not going. so be very careful, like,
Well, and I this is what you're talking about is a really tragic example of how they don't care about anybody or think about anyone other than themselves. It's not even necessary. I mean, she may have done this on purpose to trick you, or it could just be that one day she just decided, you know what, I've changed my mind, I'm not going to do it. And the fact that it's obliterated your life because you set into motion things that you believe what was going on, they don't care. And you're absolutely, I mean, what you were saying, I mean, I know it's a bitter pill to swallow, and I'm sure it wasn't fun when your attorney was telling you that, but everyone listening needs to understand, you cannot trust these people. You have to be incredibly careful how you interact with them, because you never know what they're going to, you never know what they're going to do, but you can always count on the fact that they will never have your interest, best interest, or even the child's interest at heart. It will always be what's in their best interest. And you have to remember that, because at a moment's notice, they can change on a dime what they're going to do because it suits them. Man, hang in there, buddy. I hope you can get transferred back and get your custody and everything back on track, because I know this is going to mess with custody and stuff too.
Yeah. Thank you, Duane, for the channel and all the help you provide to all the people. Really helps us stay focused. So thank you very much. Hang
in there, man. Man, that's tough. And I know that's kind of more of a depressing story, but again, just you got to be careful. Do not trust these people. I have videos that I used to, or not that I used to make, but like, beware of the nice. I mean, if they're telling you something or they're trying to be cooperative and you want to believe it, you have to always be really cautious about it. And it's really tough because it kind of gets you in this paranoid state, because how do you constantly be second guessing yourself on what's happening and what's going to happen? And it'll drive you crazy. It's a really weird balance. So, all right. So let me check some more comments and then I'll go to the next caller. We have another caller in the queue. So stand by on line 5. Sean says, DSD, thank you so much for this channel. Keep doing what you're doing. I can't express how this has helped me through my situation. Well, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. I really try. As I've mentioned in the past, I mean, one of the reasons I created this is because there wasn't anything, when I was going through it, there wasn't anything like this. There was a lot of information about how bad it is and how horrible it's going to be, and horror stories and how you're going to lose. I mean, just stuff that just would continue to drag me down. And that doesn't help anybody. Doesn't help you, doesn't help me, doesn't help our kids. We need actionable information and real practices and techniques that we can put into effect to really change things. All right, let me go to let me go to line 5. Hello and welcome to the show.
Did you see my description of my topic selection?
Let's see. It says, guess what?
And pronunciation.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, it's because I haven't been doing live streams so long. Meconia. Why the hell do I have such a hard time with that? It's like, I look at it. Every time you type something, I look at it. My brain seizes up. And I'm just like, oh, you don't know how to say that. You're going to screw that up. I'm sorry.
It's just, I did it specifically just to mess with you. I'm a covert.
It's fine. Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what? I can't do everything right. And I do have a problem. I've always had a problem, especially with, like, even at work or something, if I have to read someone's name, it's always a train wreck. It's not fun. It's
at the end of the show with the really fast credit roll, you should just read everyone, like at the end of Whose Line Is It Anyway? And see how fast you can do it. It'd be awesome.
Oh, the list is getting bigger. It's going by too fast. So it looked like you wanted to talk about Bill Eddy's book. Is that what's up?
Well, you know how like when you go to the doctor and they're like, "What's up?" and you're like, "I'm gonna cram as much in here as I can before the doctor gets annoyed and leaves."
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of where I'm at right now.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if first of all, I have a question as I didn't write in my little blurb. The other day you had a caller on, and it was a mother phoning in, and I swear she was like I'm up in Canada. She was like the American version of what I'm going through, almost to the hour of how many hours she sees her kids and how much of a delight her. And I was like, holy cow! Because just knowing someone else is out there, almost like your doppelganger of the hell you're in, it just feels good to know, even though it's hell, you're not alone in it.
Yeah.
And I know that we all know that we're not alone. If you have, other than the Discord, is there like a way that you could start like a connect with each other group where you consent with two people want to consent if they want to like touch base outside of the public forum, and then you consent, or I don't know, like just kind of connecting people who might know each in the same country, in the same state, or whatever.
The way I've done the way I've done that in the past, that's a great question. And the way I like people to do it is the Discord, because you still have your autonomy, or you're still semi-anonymous, right? I like if you go through Facebook or something, there's like more of a direct connection. Where the nice part about using like the DSD Discord, you can voice chat with people. I can create other channels and for the DSD Discord, I've created stuff for the UK and different areas. And I really think the Discord's is a good. Yeah, go ahead.
Going through this. Sorry, this is a delay thing happening, right? And then just that the last caller was from Canada. Like it's just so some of us can give each other advice, like not legal advice, but I mean, most of the Canadian situations, there's a parenting after separation program, a course that you have to take. Most provinces make parents take that before they even go to court. I don't know if you guys have that down in the States or if they have that something similar in the UK, but there's just you have certain steps you have to take, or the ex will find ways to not have to take them. Like if you go through Supreme Court in Canada, you don't have to take that course.
Oh, okay.
Stuff like that. So just, because I'm like, I wish I could go find out which caller that was and which nickname they have on the chat. And if I don't go on the Discord, I'm not going to find them. You know what I mean? It would just be cool to find each other after that. So it's like, hey, come back. I want to give you advice. Or, hey, what do I do? Give me advice. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
just wondering, I guess.
What I need to do, and I don't do a very good job of it, is promoting the Discord more often. I mean, a lot of times when something happens, somebody will say, one of the regulars will say, hey, share the link to it and stuff. But because the other problem is other than that, there's really not a good way, because I would hate for anyone to share their personal email on a live stream or in the comments or anything, because that's incredibly dangerous. If you share, I mean, the only other way that could work is if you associated an email account with your YouTube channel and people did that. It's just not really easy.
You can ask her if she wants to talk to me back, or that kind of thing, and then you say, well, so-and-so's interested in reaching out, and then they say yes or no, kind of thing.
Yeah, copy that. And I have been able to do that. I have been able to do that with a few people, but it's really tough a lot of times, because I don't know who everyone is and I don't know how to get a hold of them. Right. So that's kind of the long pole in the tent. But I appreciate you calling for that. Anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. Well, the Bill Eddy book, I was just going to say, like, I went to go on Audible, and they have this thing where you can get like extra credits or whatever. So I was on there, and they said, I looked up Bill Eddy because I knew I've read through the Biff book, and that's great. But it's always like, for a lot of us getting, estranged from our kids and all that stuff, it's hard to know, especially when you're like, what the hell do I do while I wait? Like that one caller who was like, the birthday party thing, and just like, when you only see your kids a couple hours a month or a couple hours a week, or some drastic amount of time, way less good, or, and especially if you don't know if they're being turned, like, it's really scary just living in this like dark zone.
Yeah.
And even for me, like, my kids have made it through the last 2 years, and they don't hate me or anything, but some of us aren't so fortunate, and it's hard to, like you said, to that one caller, that lady that was you were talking to, 3 hours isn't enough time to deprogram anybody, or if you don't want to get into discipline mode and yell at them because you time, and like it just kind of sucks. And you're like, how do I inject any values into them or anything when I don't have time with them? And you know, I've had the same limited amount of time with my kids for the past, you know, about 2 years now, and it still sucks. Like, but I mean, I get to have them more in the summers and over Christmas, and like that stuff is still shared, and that's like the only sanity break that we all get.
Yeah.
But it's still, for us, it's like shared suffering. Like they know it sucks, and they're like, when is this going to change? You know, like they've never fully turned around the other way, but it's mostly because my ex ran out of money and he thought he won, but he, you know, got rid of his expensive litigant, and now he's like, you know, was self-representing for a bit, and now he's hopefully got a lawyer who's a cooperative problem solver, as Bill Eddy would say. So I was listening to this Bill Eddy book, and I guess because I looked it up on Audible, and you guys actually, it's so amazing. It's a new edition of Splitting. I had heard you guys mention Splitting, and I was like, oh, I should go get the book, but didn't think of the whole Audible thing because I'm way more auditory than I can sit down and read a book, right? And this book is like, you know, after the pandemic, it's like technology, like stuff, social media, like all this new stuff, and how the courts are delayed because of COVID and everything. So he just came out with it in August, and I was looking up his book in July, and it's like, oh, this is a new book. You want to put your name on the wait list? And I was like, a new version? And I like was so excited. And there's a chapter on what to do with your ex's attorney when they, you know, do this. And there's a chapter on how to help your lawyer understand your situation. I just skipped ahead to a couple chapters, but this one, it's like, it literally outlines the story of what happened to me, and probably a lot of us. Is like, you know, one lawyer is like unaware of just how he calls them the blamer, like the high conflict person. He calls them the blamer.
Yeah. The
blamer's lawyer is a normal person, but they believe what their client is saying, or he calls them either a problem solver lawyer or a negative advocate lawyer. So they just take all the negative things the other person's saying about you, and then they go, well, I don't care whether or not it's true. I'm not going to really base it on fact. I just want to get paid, and I want to represent my client properly, so that's what I'm going to do. And he goes into this whole thing about just like, be prepared for this. And if this has already happened to you, here's what you do next. I've been through a lot of this, and it sucks. And I know it sucks when you're still in the middle of it, and I'm not even finished being done yet. But, you know, he just talks about how you can tell whether your ex is the person perpetrating these lies or if it's the lawyer too. And that was a huge thing for me, because I couldn't tell whether it was my ex who was doing it, eluded the lawyer, or the lawyer was like perpetuating. I'm pretty sure it was like the fire. They fueled each other, I think. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's your ex's fault because they're being a douchebag and the other one's, you know, throwing under the bus. But they believe their own lies, and I know that you've talked about this too. They believe. Yeah, they do. It's called like what do they call it? Like a confabulation. Like they have a conspiracy in their head, and because of their own trauma, they can't possibly take responsibility, so they have to be the victim. So then they misremember everything, false memories and all that crap. And it just, the outcome's the same for us, but like we can't sit here and figure out did they do it on purpose or did they not know? Or like, there's no point, guys, in like figuring out whether they meant it or not. It just means like they're not seeing reality properly, and they're not going to treat it like that. So the lawyer's going to do whichever. But anyways, chapter 13, I think, if you guys are anybody wants the Audible book, and apparently Duane has a coupon or something, but either way, it's worth whatever you're going to pay, like I think $20 on Audible, and you can listen to it. And
I have it up on the screen. I don't know if you can see it. Is this the new one, the one that was published July 1st, 2021? Is it that? Can you tell it? Can you see it or not?
I think so, yeah. The Audible was because I've got the interface going, and I can't use both. Really,
right, okay, phone. Yeah. So for you guys, if you're watching this on, if you're watching it on YouTube, there's that's on the screen right now. So check that out. It sounds like it's a pretty good update.
Really good. Like he has a whole chapter on like if your ex hires a lawyer and then they do this, and then they file out like last minute, and then they ask for extensions, and then when they ask for extensions, then you have to say yes, so you look like a jerk. But if you need to say F you, and it's just they have examples, like it's really good stuff, and it just like gives you like a holy crap, it's not just me. Like, and even if you can't do anything about it, just knowing that a guy who's a social worker, counselor, and a lawyer who knows that other lawyers are dumb and other people are dumb,
that's good.
Sense, and you're just not in the.
And I dealt with that the whole extension thing. I dealt with that too. It's every time we turn around, it's like, oh, okay, let's push it back. It was all a game. Like,
so. I like that. If you guys listen to that one mother that called in the other day, like I have similar thing. I have 3 kids. One of them's, teenager, but they're all smart enough to know, okay, well, what dad's doing isn't, dad loves us. The other day that one of them said, I know that dad loves us. I don't know why he's made it so hard for you to see us in here, but I know he loves us. And I'm like, hey, well, that's good. Like, because he does, in his own way, he thinks he's doing the right thing. And I think he's chilling out a little bit, but similar story, like, false allegations and, I don't see my kids. And like before I could respond to allegations, because he had so much 40 paragraphs of allegations, I was like, oh, I need to get a lawyer, I guess. And then by the time you get a lawyer, your new lawyer says, hey, other lawyer, can I have some more extensions? Nope. And every time we would ask any of the lawyers that I had through the legal aid assistance people or whatever, they all would ask his lawyer, can we have more time? And they always say no, like barely got adjournments and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And the only reason I ended up with what I got was I had time to refute the allegations. And then I didn't show up at a court date because my lawyer said to not go. And his lawyer said, we're going to go anyway. Like it was just dumb.
Oh,
so fast forward to now, it's exactly 2 years. And we've been trying to get like the kids getting interviewed and they haven't and whatever. But, just like, and I know that you've talked so much about this, but like, it's really important, no matter how bleak it looks, find a therapist, go get like a counselor, go somewhere where you get, like, if you can get it funded or something. I really wish that people would like give people free counseling for stuff like this.
Yeah.
Research attachment trauma, because that's what narcissistic people end up, that's why they are like this. And that's why we are like this, because we're the codependents who let them into our lives. And then that one person was like, why am I putting up with this? And why am I just figuring this out now? It's because of these trauma bonded with these people because we didn't know better. It's like not our fault. It's no one's fault. So just like, we feel stupid, like we're duped. And I just hope everyone's encouraged. Like we're all sitting here like, why did I fall for this? Well, they fell for their own lies and we believed them too. It's like, it's not our fault. It's not your fault.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
And you need a therapist. I had a therapist. Amazing. She's really good with kids too, but she's helped like myself as a single, like individual counseling. And then she's actually been also helping me with my new partner. And he's, we didn't think he had a problem, but it turns out he actually has his ex is showing her 2 colors now. And I've been going through this court process in the Supreme Court, which is so ridiculous because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
And it's free to file everything in the provincial court. I don't know what your guys' situation down there is like, but Supreme Court's like $1,000 to show up at court, and like it's like $80, $100 to file anything, and in provincial court it's like free everything, really cheap. And then he picked this lawyer who's like, well, I only do Supreme Court. It's like, okay, like it's just why, and it's still anyway.
Just to make it hard.
But the point is, my ex, my boyfriend, my current partner, his boy is 10, and the mother has just she's always kind of been like a really wishy-washy, doesn't really text you, doesn't, changes plans and whatever, but she ended up removing the child, and it looked like an oops, I didn't mean to, I didn't know better, but it turns out she actually just doesn't really like following rules. Like she removed him from one province to another and just kind of didn't bother checking with anyone or telling anyone. She just went for a visit and all of a sudden it's like, I'm going to move here actually. Okay. And didn't tell anyone. So, and we got sick right after his birthday. So he didn't get to see him on his birthday. But we got sick. We actually ended up getting COVID. So I had my kids and my boyfriend and I were all stuck in one place for our quarantine time. And then, so she took advantage of that and she moved sooner and was like, well, I just got here and I just decided I'm going to stay. And it's the best thing for me and everything. And she didn't even really say it's the best thing for him. And so he's not a conflict kind of guy. And he went in and, I'm like, I know how to do all these things. And then I went and helped him get, the forms to fill out and whatnot. And I'm like, man, like at least up here, it's like so much easier to fill out forms provincially because there's instructions there. The lawyers on courthouse lawyers can help you. It's so much easier. Good. And it's just like, I know what now. So that was really helpful because I felt like at least I can make a difference in someone else's life. And I don't have to, we don't have to pay a bunch of lawyers to do it. And he's, not going to qualify for legal assistance because he's got a job and whatever. So anyway,
well, that's good.
Jumped on that right away because I could what was going to happen. And I was like, dude, you got to get on this because you only have a certain amount of time when you can object to this. And he went in there, got some, free advice, got the papers in, she showed they had an urgent court hearing. They got it figured out. She had to bring him back, and now she's like on a vengeance path or something.
Oh, of course.
But the funny story is, her boyfriend, her current boyfriend, sees what's going on, and he's still trauma bonded to her now. But she painted him out to be this abusive guy that we were like, oh, I hope that he doesn't do anything to this kid and stuff. And he reaches out to us, and he's like, she doesn't know I'm contacting you, and she's probably gonna like kick me out if she knows. But by the way, here's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening. Here's what she's planning to do. This is why she's not replying to you and stuff. And now he's basically become an ally on the
hilarious.
whole thing.
That happens sometimes.
Actually, might get child, even though she's basically giving up her parental rights, even though she supposedly is going to fight for Sylvester. Like, these people don't use their brains, and it sucks
they don't.
because we see
They don't.
the trauma and the for them, but we can't save them. We can't rescue them, especially with the kids involved. So, like, fight for the kid. Don't fight for the for me sympathy. Like, that they had their chance for that.
Yep.
But anyway, long story short,
no, thanks for sharing.
Really good book. Audiobook. Mental health is really important, and model that for your kids and for your partner if you have it, or just work on yourself and don't get a new partner until you have your head on straight, because it's tough. And sometimes, like you already know, and you guys have talked about, it's hard to get a new partner involved in some of these things. And you need to like just focus on finding ways to like regulate yourself and heal your, inner childhood trauma that we all seem to have, or we wouldn't all be here. So, and yeah, so anyway, those are all my updates, and we appreciate all the things that you do and all the people that share their stories on here too. And anyway.
Well, thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. You had a lot of good information. All right. Man, hold on. Let me hit this button here. She made a really great point on this, and I'm going to wrap it up for the show for tonight. But I just want to say that too is a really good example of how these people only focus on themselves. They live in chaos. They can't think straight. They'll cut their nose off to spite their face. Easy for me to say. And it's just so, it's incredibly frustrating. Very interesting story that the ex or the person's current relationship is sharing intel with the other side. These people are train wreck. All right, guys. On that, I'm going to wrap this up. I want to say thank you for hanging out with me today, and let me just go ahead and get this started. Thank you so much. We had 5 callers today. That was outstanding. Tomorrow, Debbie and I are going to go hang out and celebrate her birthday, so that'll be fun. I do want to say thank you to the channel members that are not scrolling up. Gosh darn it. That's because I forgot to plug the hard drive in. If it was working, you would see a list of names scrolling up right now, recognizing the people that have hit the join button, picked a tier, and dedicated their support to this channel to keep it going. So on that, have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next one.